To round out our show on standardized testing, I'm joined now by a party of three, one man, two women. They are starting on my right, Ashley Nguyen, Associate Director of Admissions at Pepperdine University, Jayson Weingarten, who is currently a college admissions officer with the Group Ivy coach, and finally, we have Robin Hamilton, Associate Dean of Admissions at Oxy. It is great to have all of you here, and I'm just going to leap right into it. Standardized tests. Best thing about them for you as an admissions officer. Robin, go.
Best thing about them. It gives us something that everyone has. It's something that we require, but it is also just one part of our process.
Yeah.
So as we look through applications, being at a place like Occidental where we have the time to give personal attention, we can look at grades, we can look at test scores, but we also look at everything else they do, everything else that makes them who they are. And so while it's great to have a standardized piece, we do know that it's only one part.
It's a litmus test, though. Everyone's taking the same test. All right, Jayson, we should mention your former admissions officer at Pennsylvania University. In all of this, what do you think is the most compelling argument? Keep these tests.
Well, I think just that it's one piece, still an important piece, still a piece that colleges are using to evaluate students, but at the same time, it's a piece that is one of many. And so even in the wake of colleges maybe going towards test optional or going the way of being text flexible, that doesn't mean that it's their test unimportant. They still are important parts that are used to evaluate students.
Yeah. Ashley, I'm going to, because I have a feeling you disagree with anything they're saying?
No.
No. Okay, so let's move to the drawbacks of these tests. When you're sitting there and you're looking at all of these applications and essays and reference letters and all the rest of it, what gives you concern when you look at a standardized test score?
Sure. I think the hardest thing is trying to contextualize, right? So we know that students come from different backgrounds, and so just making sure that we are giving credit to the student and really placing them in their context, in their high school setting, in their local setting, and then looking at the national grade as well.
Yeah. So how do you do that? And maybe we could hear from, you know, you're sitting there, I can't even imagine your job, because you are evaluating a human being's life, but you're doing so, I mean, in my day, it was paper, I'm dating myself, but you know, it's all digitally now. So, you know, Robin, talk to me about that, right? You're looking at, this kid looks great, but ooh, look at this SAT score. What do you do when you don't?
Yeah, well, we're trying to create a narrative, and we're looking for the different pieces to really add up and tell us how prepared the student is to be successful in an Oxy classroom. That's obviously ultimately the bottom line. Are they going to be successful? Are they going to be able to keep up? Have they taken the classes and built the habits that are going to prepare them for that? And so if we see a test score that is particularly low, we're going to then look through the rest of the application. Do we see that their writing is particularly well done, or is it also maybe underperforming? Are their GPA or the classes that they've chosen to take? Academic rigor is a really important part of the preparation process as well. Are they taking classes and doing well and work that will mimic what they're going to be asked to do here on campus? And so if we're seeing all these data points that maybe contradict a test score, then we're going to probably give it less merit in the process, and saying that in all these other ways that student is really prepared to be successful here, that test score might be an outlier for a variety of reasons and demographics that may impact their abilities.
Well, and it's that inherent bias part of it that I think really gives, you know, pause for a lot of folks. And we heard Gretchen Guffey of the ACT say before, you know, we've got all these methods and commissions and we take out, and we are not biased. I'm just curious, when you hear something, you all are laughing. But, you know, I mean, is it even thinkable to think that you have a non-biased test?
I mean, I think what the literature says is that no. I mean, it is biased, and that there is plenty of data to back that up. And so that is something that we have to work through as an admission office, again, to contextualize and to really help understand then what are we providing that merit to, and where should we be looking to see where the students' academic qualifications are coming from.
Yeah. So Jayson, talk to me as a current admissions coach. You work with this Group Ivy coach, and a family comes in and they say, okay, you know, we really want our kid to go to this college or this university. What is the spiel that you give to them about how much weight, how much value to give to these standardized tests?
So I think the important thing to recognize is that even though the ACT and the College Board, the makers of the SAT, say that they are there for the students and that they want to see students succeed, at the end of the day, they are nonprofits, but they do care about their bottom line. Yeah. And they are going to try to do what they can to make sure that they get more students taking these tests and that they're able to grow on their either billion-dollar revenue or multiple $100 million revenues. And so they say one thing, but they don't necessarily do the other. It's important that families realize that. And we see ourselves at Ivy Coach as providing that demystification of the college admissions process, and really showing a lot of logic and shining a lot of spotlight and sunlight onto this for families.
Yeah, but then what do we do with all of this? Because I feel like this is kind of right back where we started when I talked with Teresa Watanabe at the beginning of this show. You know, this test isn't perfect, but it's the test that we've got. It's the test we've been using now for, you know, almost a century. So, Robin, what do you see as the path forward on this, especially from your perspective as an admissions officer?
I mean, I think those institutions that continue to use the test have to be really thoughtful and be really nuanced about it to make sure that they're including it as only one part of the admission process, and also really recognizing that there's not only the test, but a variety of pretty inequitable inputs that come into our process. As we've heard throughout the show, there's lots of issues. So we think about K-12, we think about pre-K, students are being disadvantaged throughout the process. And so understanding that we have this one snapshot in time of a student's sort of educational journey, how do we make that process as equitable as possible, whether we're using tests or not?
It is fascinating, fascinating stuff. And you all have tough work. I will be thinking about you as I apply for college with my kids in the future. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for coming by. And we've got some final thoughts when Inside the Issues continues. Don't go away. Did you find this evening's episode A, interesting, B, informative, C, entertaining, D, all of the above? There is no right answer, but we always value your opinion. There are a number of ways to get in touch. You can do so on Twitter. We are at IssuesOn1. I am there as well, at Alex Cohen in LA. Email address is insidetheissues@charter.com. So put down your number 2 pencils and send us your feedback.